Video game demos are wonderful things. More often than not, they've turned me around on games I would have otherwise overlooked, as it's hard to know if you actually like something unless you've tried it. So when Steam was hosting one of their next Fest events, where developers big and small can show off their upcoming titles, I figured I'd cast a wide net and see what I pull out. Some are bigger releases I saw advertised at major presentations, others simply caught my eye when looking through the hundreds of games listed on the Steam event page. I was pretty happy with most of what I found, and what didn't hook me was mostly down to a matter of taste. I will link the store page to all of these games in the description. If any of these look interesting to you, please be sure to wishlist them. Downhill is a action RPG where you play as an unknown force that co-inhabits the body of a woman named Fade. As the world falls apart around her, she allows you to take control of her body out of desperation, creating a dynamic between you and the person you're controlling. You will have optional dialogue conversations with her, and at any time can ask about the world or current situation, driving home the fact that you are two different people sharing the same body. Unfortunately for Fade, I was really bad at the game and frequently died. While that means nothing to me, as I am merely an ethereal entity, Fade was very upset about repeatedly experiencing painful deaths, being resurrected, and forced to fight again. This setup is one I find interesting, and I'm curious to see how far they take it, especially since there do seem to be points where meaningful decisions can be made. The combat is fairly standard, with directional attacking and dodging. You can slip into the shadow world for a few seconds, which freezes time, and allows you to pass obstacles in the real world. Eventually you gain magic spells, though the only one in the demo is a unremarkable starting ranged attack. At the moment, the game also has some very poor sound effects, or lack thereof. In its defense, it is still an early build and currently on Kickstarter. It could be a neat little RPG in the making. Afantasia is a narrative point-and-click adventure game that is very much not made for me. Any story that's about teenagers dealing with teenager problems is fighting an uphill battle for my attention. I say this not because of anything the game does wrong, but I feel it's important to understand someone's personal taste before you listen to what they think about a piece of media. You play as a troubled teen trying to get away from his crappy town, but in doing so must leave his family. All the while, there's a little voice inside your head trying to make you doubt yourself. The game has a heavy focus on memories. You collect items that, when brought to special locations, make you relive associated memories. The highlight of this demo for me was finding a stray dog and reliving the memories of it being abandoned by its owners in the park. It was a neat sequence, and I'm curious to know what else they have planned in the full game. Outside of the narrative, the game also has a very strong art direction with striking visuals and oppressive color palettes. And I really don't gel with it. If you like what you see here, please do give the game a look, as I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just not my speed. Ratatan is the spiritual successor to Patapon from these same creators. It's a rhythm, roguelite, real-time strategy, and those are all genres I typically avoid. I did have some sensory overload when I first started, between managing my minions, the enemies, and the action bar at the bottom. I eventually came to grips with the controls and mechanics, but was still terrible at it, because I found juggling the units to be tricky, and I have the rhythm of a heart palpitation. I probably should have spent more time organizing and honoring my units in town between runs, but just assumed I needed to play better. As far as variety, I encountered maybe 5 enemy types with similar positioning, and every other run saw a new reward in my hour with the game. I had a decent time with the demo, but am concerned about the game's longevity. I don't know if roguelite fans would be satisfied with the level of variety between runs, if rhythm game fans would be pleased with the same handful of inputs, or if RTS fans would be sufficiently satiated with the units available. I'm also not a fan of any genre this game is pulling from, nor have I played Patapon for comparison, so this game might be exactly what people want. I may just admire this one from afar, which is fine because it has a gorgeous art style and fun music. Here's where I cheat a little, because technically, Bonnie Bear Says Frogtime was not part of this next fest, but I still really want to talk about it. It's a collectible battle game where you must guide your frogs to the other side of the board to damage your opponent. It's a pretty fun game that gets surprisingly involved as you collect frogs with special abilities, leapfrog to gain extra ground, and attempt to counter your opponent's movement. The other half of the game is about Bonnie collecting magical seashells by battling everyone she meets like it's Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh!
Bonnie, it's Frogtime! Stand in positions.
Along the way, you'll meet a wide variety of quirky weirdos that all sound like they were voiced by the devs' friends and family.
Oh, a tower frog! That's a legendary frog, Bonnie! Whoa, you even defeated Bella. I never knew you you were so good, Bonnie. You get to eat a lot of cake. Bonnie, get down here. We got you a cake.
The game is quite funny and frequently gave me a good chuckle.
Wait a minute. Was there cake in this? Happy birthday to Bonnie. Ah! Bonnie, it's your birthday.
It can be a bit too hippy-dippy at times, but that's just a small nitpick for a game I am eagerly anticipating.
Drinking island cocoa soda, we can choose to do whatever.
Funny Raccoon game is... a lot to take in. In terms of gameplay, it's a comedy 3D platforming physics game where the objective is to steal anything that isn't nailed down and bring it back to your dumpster. You can increase your carrying capacity by finding dumbbells and stranger items by exploring the various maps connecting each level. The stranger the items, the better. Sign of the city of Norwich? Chuck it in the bin. Alpaca llama thing? Chuck it in the bin. Police officer's firearm. Giant cube god. Stone pillars, giant box of antidepressants, sentient flower pot, chuck it all in the bin. While I admire this game's humor and visual insanity, it's much harder to appreciate the sound design, which uses a bunch of very intentional stock sound effects and meme audio. Made me smile the first time, but it quickly devolves into a cacophony of ear-piercing sounds. There's fun to be had, but the sound design is a pretty big asterisk. The Trolley Solution is a point-and-click comedy game that feels very reminiscent of 2000s era Flash games. The goal is to make quick, on-the-fly decisions, beginning with the famous trolley problem, but quickly evolving into zanier scenarios until the game is completely unrecognizable. Playing a reverse cup game with Schrodinger's cat, browsing social media, or the game turning into a visual novel. The game's strength is quick, snappy humor, where before you even have time to think about what's happened, you're already moving on to the trolley's next stop. Can't wait to see what silly scenarios will be in the full game. GlitchSPANKR is a first-person narrative-driven comedy where you enter a video game to wipe it clean of a computer virus by spanking it with a novelty hand thingy.
What in the fuck?
The virus has shape-shifting powers and it becomes a game of prop hunt as you find and eliminate it. But it quickly becomes more complicated when the virus starts to talk to you and offer you a chance to befriend it.
Yeah. So, like, go through the friend door. Let's see where things go.
Taking a different narrative route altogether. For my playthrough, I decided to see where this path would lead and chose of my own free will to hang out with this deliberately annoying character that really made me think of Claptrap from Borderlands, with his annoying voice, refusal to ever stop talking, and everything he's saying being idiotic or off-putting.
Universe is created and destroyed. I don't really remember any of it, but that's how I imagine it. What to talk about? What's your favorite way to kill someone? So, this is the club I used to go hang out at to burn some time. Also, drugs and women. You know how it is. The drugs and women are dirt cheap. Also dirty. It's pretty bad, actually.
Because he is a sad, pathetic creature whose existence should be ended.
Look, man, you don't know me. You look at me and think, ew, that guy's freaking ugly. I gotta kill it. I understand. I do. I think the same every morning when I look in the mirror.
Except, unlike Claptrap, I can theoretically attack the virus at any stage and alter the narrative path. I say theoretically because I chose to grit my teeth and see what the end result would be. The result was a variety of different scenarios and scenery, from a turret defense section, exploring a museum of a hypothetical game, a Beat Saber style rhythm game at a nightclub, and a spooky section where I was expected to break 133 items, which is way too many. Of course, this is only one path, and I could replay the demo and take another, but I really didn't feel like doing that. I would be more inclined to try other routes if the one I had picked had wasted less of my time, as there was various points where sections would drag on for way too long. It's likely I chose the path I expected to hate the most and then got mad about it. I'm sure others will make better decisions and get better routes, but one trip through the demo was enough for me.
Oh, shucklebucks! It looks like that's the end of the demo. There's actually a ton more content. Decisions, ending.
It's perhaps reductive to say Rue Valley is Groundhog Day Elysium, but not inaccurate. You play as a troubled man living out his court-ordered therapy in a rural desert roadside motel. At the start of the game, you can assign points into different aspects of your personality, which will affect how you interact with others and the world around you. I spec'd my character's personality close to my own and created a spineless paranoid introvert who was too scared to talk to an angry woman banging on a vending machine or interrupt the front desk lady's call for tech support. Mystery arises when the day ends and a massive explosion creates a blinding light, and I find myself back in the therapy session less than an hour earlier.
Still with me, Mr. Harrell? Mr. Harrell, can you hear me?
This is a time loop investigative game with role-playing elements. It's a difficult game to show off in a couple of minutes because it really is about the writing, though the art style is very nice as well. The motel in the demo is a very small area and there's not much to explore or interact with, feeling like I only got a bite-sized experience, despite playing for over an hour. But I am eager to pick up the game's narrative threads in the full release.
God damn it!
Wait, so the Z team, my team, their Phoenix program?
That is correct.
Your own motley crew of dangerous fuck-ups.
We're not looking for miracles, but we'd love one if we could get it.
The superhero genre has been oversaturated for a long time now, and you really need to do something special to make your contribution stand out. That's exactly what some former Telltale members are on track to do with Dispatch, a narrative adventure game with management elements. You play as a former tech-based superhero whose robot suit got destroyed, and the only way to get it back is to work at a hero dispatch center that provides on-call superhero service for their subscribers.
Exactly. Now put your headset on and introduce yourself to these pricks.
Hey team, this is your dispatcher, Robert Robertson. I'm starting my first shift.
The catch is that the team you are assigned to is only one notch below the Suicide Squad in terms of manners, discipline, and competence.
I'll take Wednesday.
Tuesday. Dibs on Monday.
What are you guys talking about?
We're taking bets on when you'll quit.
Friday?
Today's Friday.
I know.
I don't want to talk about it.
Fire at a local park has gotten out of control.
Did you start that fire?
Oh.
The fire that's burning 2 blocks from where you're standing. You didn't start that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm on break, so how could I know?
She said I got arrested for tax evasion. I wish.
They will not be trying their best, so it's up to you to put them on assignments they're best suited for. These assignments can range from a cat stuck in a tree, bank robberies, stakeouts, and business grand openings. While I found this section of the demo to be an enjoyable experience, I am concerned this side of the game could become stale if done for too long, or if no curveballs are thrown your way. Watching icons move across the map and waiting for bars to fill up could be dull if overdone. The other half of the game plays exactly as you would expect from ex-Telltale devs, where you are basically watching cutscenes and are frequently given various dialogue options that affect your relationship with other characters.
Hey, you this Robert people talking about? What's up, brother? My auntie named me Roy, but people call me Roy. All right. Good to meet you, bro.
Likewise.
I can move 50 times faster than the average person, but I didn't realize until it was too late. And I was aging 50 times faster when I used my powers. Nowadays, I'm moving slower than frozen piss to keep the old ticker from popping on me.
I had no idea. I'm so sorry, Chase.
Hey, if I feel another ounce of pity from you, I will run you over in a parking lot and say it was an accident. They'll believe me because it looks like I'm wearing diapers.
How much these decisions will actually affect the story will only be known when the full game releases, but if I had to guess, it won't be by much, but the main narrative and characters will be so strong that it almost won't even matter.
And then there's Galen, way back there, born with super hearing. He's from, I want to say...
Florida.
Florida, of course. Florida man over there. Hey, easy on the bath salts.
That was one guy.
The game is oozing charm from its slick art style, funny writing, and lovable cast. A definite standout from this next fest.
What? It's a hug, not a hand job. Lighten up.
Be that as it may.
Oh, I feel like we got off on the wrong foot. Let's just cut straight to the good stuff.
I've never played any of those wacky movement games that make simple tasks an ordeal, because they always seem annoying and run note. So I was quite surprised when I played Baby Steps and had a good time. You play as Nate the Neat, who looks like he hasn't seen the sun, left his room, or even changed his clothes in a very long time. When Nate gets randomly teleported to a rural scenic mountain, he's forced to apply effort into accomplishing a task. That task is learning how to walk. You select each leg with the triggers and their movement with the left analog stick. Fortunately, this is one of the more forgiving movement games, and it's not hard to get a good stride going. And when you do trip and fall, the ragdoll is heavy enough that you shouldn't be too far from where you fell. There is satisfaction to be had making forward momentum and traversing treacherous terrain. The mountain is also dotted with just enough odd landmarks to build intrigue. I don't know why there's a giant candle or a sunken carnival, but I'm curious to find out more. The real reward, however, is the cutscenes that has Nate very poorly interacting with the mountain's overly friendly hikers.
Yeah, no, you're just relax. Nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody falls. Let's get you on your feet.
I'm good.
What's your name, son?
I'm Nate.
Nate, good to meet you.
Yeah, it's just, what's this program called?
Program?
Like, what's the name of the camp or whatever?
Oh, no, do you not have a map?
Oh, kind of like a mental map.
Oh, no, look at this. Look, this is, I got this map.
Oh.
It's got everything on it. Check it out. See, really good.
Oh, yeah. 0 shoes, but 12 size is the size of my feet.
I can see your feet because you're not wearing any shoes.
No, I just feel like, show me yours.
Another strong showing that surprised me with just how much I enjoyed it. Easy Delivery Co. is a open-world delivery game set in one of those awful northern snow towns that gets very little sunlight and perpetual cold. The goal is to take all delivery jobs, picking up parcels and dropping them off for a few dollars. The game is what I call horror-tinged, in which there's not enough spooky stuff to call it a horror game, but it definitely has a foreboding atmosphere with its sense of isolation and bad weather. You can actually die in this game if you spend too much time in the cold, which transports you to these dark otherworldly hallways, until you are brought back to your local gas station and are forced to trudge back to the grind. Make sure to pick up an energy drink on your way out. The game does seem to be interesting, but I did find the map to be on the smaller side and almost completely empty. As there's not a lot of scenery to look at nor other drivers to avoid, I worry the main loop is going to get stale fast. The game could prove me wrong, and I hope it does, because it seems like something that would be right up my alley.
Client here. Amongst the files you delivered, we found some oversight personnel database entries. Congratulations on the new job. You are just another faceless security detail.
Deficit is a first-person immersive sim light where you play as a corporate spy infiltrating a massive structure to steal a reality-altering device. While it may sound like a stealth game, I did very little sneaking in the demo. It isn't long before your cover is blown and you are forced into fisticuffs. The game has a greater emphasis on melee combat, though I was able to 3D print a gun later, though it only had one magazine. Melee combat feels good enough, blows are satisfying, you can pocket various improvised weapons, even throw things if you wish. But the system does have a massive critical flaw that tells me this game still has a long way to go. Enemies can't hit you while you're crouched. Once I learned this, I was untouchable and won every encounter by punching my opponent in the nards. Mechanically, it was working fine and I had an okay time, but this obvious oversight did not instill confidence. There were also technical issues, such as the entire game world disappearing during the intro, and I did stop playing the demo when the game crashed. I also found environments to be very samey, metal and concrete neon-lit corridors, and all the grunts speaking in that incomprehensible, deep, garbled, radio-compressed voice.
Welcome to Oversight, Recruit. The line manager has already called in and fast-tracked you for basics training.
Welcome to the meat grinder, scrub. Listen, scrub, don't want to panic you on your first day, but this way is royally fucked.
I may just be nitpicking, but it doesn't help it stand out. I feel like I'm being harsh, especially since this is apparently a very small team that seems to be aiming high, so let me say that there's definitely something here. Needs a lot of polish, but this does feel like a solid foundation for a fun action romp. My feedback would be to tighten up the AI, allow them to hit things below their waist, and give them some sharper fangs, as I was never at risk of failure. If you enjoy first-person melee combat games with immersive sim elements, don't write this one off just yet. Parkside, Decayed Soul Manipulation is an immersive sim and, based on the demo, a fairly good one. You play as some nobody hacker who gets kidnapped by a cult and forced to do their dirty work. They transfer your consciousness into an artificial body, but of course if you die in the meat suit, your real body dies as well. And die you will if you're not careful, as police and hired guns are quick to open fire if you so much as step foot in a restricted zone or shoplift. Going in guns blazing can work, but is suboptimal. Thankfully, there are plenty of hidden back entrances, body augmentations, and secret weapons and items to ensure a successful mission. The missions themselves drop you off on a city block with an objective and let you go from there. These maps are surprisingly open and complex, with back alleys and rooftops allowing for multiple routes and vantage points. They are also filled with civilians and patrolling police, which gives a nice sense of life in this near-dystopian shithole city. Objectives are what you would expect, from assassinating a target to breaking into a safe without killing the owner. Even found a side quest in the second level. However, in the demo at least, there is no manual saving, and the only checkpoint is at the start of the mission. This deters save scumming, which means situations are forced to escalate, which is where I had the most fun, but lost progress is always a negative mark for me. The game's AI is still something I'm trying to figure out. It's either expectedly jank or surprisingly advanced. If you are caught committing a crime, police will pursue you, but those seem to lose track of you in a way that feels organic. They don't seem to automatically know where you are forever, but it's best to keep your head down. Though one time a police officer followed me around watching every move but wouldn't attack. This one was probably a bug. Either way, Parkside was a massive surprise find, and if you like immersive sims, absolutely do not sleep on this one.
So this next topic is about Untitled.exe, more commonly known as Oneway.exe.
A video was posted to the now defunct Exodus website.
Been subjected to prolonged torture before her death. Her body skinned, ripped apart, her injuries methodical and deliberate.
The horror's not very good from what people say, so... Right. Someone died while making it, I guess?
Those who have claimed to have played it say that the hallway had a bunch of doors,
swear the
each
game is
leading to what
haunted
feels
now.
like a completely
I wouldn't
different
play it,
game.
though.
The story goes
Right.
that something
Either it's fake,
sort of like a
Closely resembles stories found on the perpetrated websites. Some of these writings explore extreme violence under the guise of creative fiction.
Oneway.exe is a puzzle horror game in which you play a dark web computer game that is supposedly cursed. From your computer screen, you'll boot up the game and be placed in a dark hallway lined with a series of doors. Behind them is the same room that will be drastically altered based on the story and theme of each one. While locked inside, you'll have to figure out the puzzles to escape, and in doing so, learn about the story and lives of its occupant. A neat setup for a game. Unfortunately, I didn't know what I was getting into and was too dumb to solve some of the puzzles. I also don't know anything about them creepypastas the kids like, so I'm not sure I'm the target audience, but doesn't mean I can't appreciate what they're doing. One of the details I really liked is that while you are playing the game, you can actually view the in-game devs chat log as they're developing it. They're clearly just a bunch of friends having a good time making something, but does beg the question of what exactly happened during development to make Oneway a mythical cursed game. If you're interested in a puzzle game with a early 2000s internet aesthetic that tells an anthology of horror stories with a overarching framing device, this is right up your alley.
Who are you?
No, I'm Not a Human is a horror deduction game where you must decide if the stranger at your door is a human or a visitor, a race of malicious humanoid impersonators that started emerging from the Earth after unexplained solar activity caused a catastrophic global heatwave. Discerning human from humanoid is easier said than done, as everyone is a little off. The only ones I confidently clocked as human were the sports betting hustler guy and the crystal astrology woman, because no homomorph alive is capable of replicating such authentic human behavior. But for those less conspicuous solicitors, you can watch the news for new information about how to spot visitors. If you let someone into your home, you can further inspect them, and if you suspect them of being a visitor, you can pull out a gun and decide their fate. Now you may be tempted to turn your back on your fellow man during these trying times, but those who isolate themselves are actually putting themselves at risk. Visitors seem to operate on a vampire-esque rule set, but they will not forcibly enter a home if there is more than one occupant. So you are encouraged to shelter others as there is safety in numbers. So the main gameplay loop is very engaging, as every night you will screen solicitors and every day you will check on your guest. It's a very promising game I'm looking forward to, but am concerned it might fall a bit short. At night, you just raid at your door as there is a sub 10-second window between solicitors, and while it's very efficient and respects my time, it did feel a little too video gamey in a way I'm not sure the devs intended. I would have preferred slightly longer gaps in time I could fill by checking out the windows or other little things around the house. Another hit to my immersion is that guests don't seem to have any interactions with each other, and even if you blow away someone in the next room, it may as well have never happened for them. I may sound negative, that's only because I found the game so compelling that little cracks in my immersion were more noticeable. I'm still thinking about how a disabled person who seemed very unwell came to my door and I invited them in. I later gave them a visitor test that they technically passed, but due to abnormal deformity and behavior, my paranormal spiked and I chose to play it safe. I still don't know if they were a visitor or if some innate perception of those different caused me to kill an innocent person. I will never know. And moments like that outweigh any gripes I have with the rest of the game. An easy recommend from me. Caput Mortum is a first-person survival horror game set in an alchemist lab in 1600s France. While the game clearly takes some inspiration from Kingsfield, I found it more reminiscent of Echo Night, as it has smaller, more detailed environments and a greater emphasis on puzzles. There is combat, but it's very simplistic and not very difficult. What you will mainly be doing is ascending deeper into the labs, solving puzzles on each floor, reading notes, and occasionally swatting off giant leeches or a homunculus. To spice things up, the game also has a unique control scheme that's bound to be off-putting for many. You control your view using the shoulder and trigger buttons, while your hand functions as a mouse cursor that you control with the right analog stick. Feels like some kind of experimental setup that would have been tried in the late 90s on a DualShock 1. Needless to say, it takes some getting used to, and annoyance will be felt in the process. But for those who come to grips with it, will find a very atmospheric horror experience that's sure to leave an impression. Named Mojave is a linear first-person horror narrative that I'm going to front with a content warning for home invasion, murder, and gore. Unlike most horror games where you are the victim of such acts, here you are the perpetrator, and it made me feel bad in a good way that horror is supposed to. Also, spoilers for the demo, because I feel like the best way to talk about this game is to just go through my experience beat by beat. If you want to experience the demo yourself, please go do so first. I do recommend it if you're not squeamish. The game is set in the middle of nowhere desert, and my car battery has just died, leaving me stranded. I walk the highway and search for help until I see a driveway. I continue down it until I spot a mysterious figure dragging away something dead and leaving a massive trail of blood. I follow it and arrive at the front gate of a Texas chainsaw house. I let myself inside and am greeted by a humanoid cat who calls himself Mojave. He says he'll help me if I hunt down some servimorphs with him. They look like deer. I'll know them when I see them. He gives me his gun and sends me out. I find a normal-looking house, and inside there is a family of humanoid deer. The father is upset that a complete stranger carrying a shotgun is trespassing on his property, while his wife seems a little too eager and trusting of this mysterious stranger. The husband reluctantly agrees to help fix your car after a quick bite to eat. It's obvious that Jane and John Doe are having severe marital problems, as Jane's a deadbeat alcoholic and Jane seems to throw herself at any passing man. You're told to find a knife in the child's room to cut the pie, when Mojave appears to remind you why you're here and that he is always watching. Before John takes you to fix the car, Jane speaks to you in private and begs you to take her away with you. John returns and, seeing his wife be unfaithful, attacks you, and in defense you pull out your shotgun and... There are now 3 dead people that need to be... Wait, hold on. Now there are 3 dead servimorphs that need to be skinned, so I load them on the carts and carry them back to Mojave's house to be processed. That's what you do with meat. I go inside to tell him that my job is done and that I would like my car battery now. He asks me if I enjoy killing those deer, and the game presents me with a choice for the first time. I can either say I liked it or that I had no choice. In terms of gameplay, I did have no choice. If I wanted to continue, I had to do all of those horrible things. But no one forced me to play the game, and I did want to continue, and I did have a good time. I had no choice would be a lie, and Mojave is not someone I want to lie to. So I say that I liked it, and he takes me under his wing with plans for future hunts. The demo really left an impression on me, not just from its upsetting atmosphere, premise about becoming a serial killer, or distinct character design, but because it did make me reflect on my actions as a video game player in a mere 15 minutes. I could be giving the game a bit too much credit, but games are a form of art, and art is supposed to make you feel something, and I certainly felt something playing this. Let's do a little lightning round while I talk about the games that I was debating if I should even include in this video. But I figured any publicity is good publicity, I already had the footage, and wanted to round it up to 20 games. For clarity, I put very little time into these demos because it didn't take long for me to form my thoughts. First is Meat Engine, a movement FPS with a flesh and bones aesthetic. My impression was that it's very... fine. It's still a very early build, and what I played was quite solid, but not for me. Jumping was very floaty, I'm not wild about that ground kicking thing FPSs do nowadays, and there seems to be a greater focus on arena battles, while I prefer level exploration. Journey of the Garden Rose is a 3D Metroidvania Souls-like that I think the devs may have been a little too eager to show off. It starts out nice with a opening cutscene and vibrant PS1 textures, but oh dear, the animations are stiff. with clunky combat and giant spiders in very simple small rooms. It is an early alpha, and I'm going to be generous and assume a very early alpha. And lastly, we have Hlína, a narrative point-and-click with a distinct claymation art style. The story is about a young man facing the prospect of living out the rest of his days in a depressing factory job. That's about all I can say because the demo was only about 3 minutes long. It looks cool, I guess. So those were my findings from Steam Next Fest June 2025. I discovered numerous games that I never heard of before, but now anticipate their release. Even the ones that didn't resonate with me, I can't call bad because most of them were solid experiences. When Next Fest rolls around again, I encourage you to get weird with it. Look for things you wouldn't normally play and give it a go. It's not like it will cost you anything, and you may be pleasantly surprised by what you find. If you stumbled upon any gems this Next Fest, share them in the comments below. I would love to hear about them.